بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we're done with the first 2 days. The first day was introduction. The second day we went through the letter Alif. So inshallah today we'll be moving forward. So today's topic is how do you pronounce the letter Ba, which is the easiest part of today's presentation. After that is, what is a harakah? When we say a fatha, dhamma, kasra, all of us know how to pronounce it. What does that actually mean? Because that makes a very big difference in Tajweed. And the third thing we'll be going through is what is the difference between a mutaharrik and a sakin ba? For example, if I say ba or if I say qab, what's the difference between the qab and the ba? What are the difference between the two things? Which is known as qalqala. So let's go through it inshallah. First is, how do you pronounce a ba? So it's very simple. Ba is pronounced by joining the lips together, then releasing it. And that's as hard as it can get. And normally the wet part of the lips is more involved than the dry part, but it's better if you don't think about that and just say the ba on your own like a B, and it will be much easier. And one thing is that the tongue has nothing to do with the pronunciation of the letter ba. There are some people, they put a bit more emphasis on the ba and they kind of push with their tongue, but it depends on the person. But generally speaking, to pronounce a ba, you simply put your lips together and then you let them go. Ba, ba. That's it. Ba, bu, bi. That's as hard as a ba will get. So now let's inshallah move on to the next part relating to ba. So before I get to the next slide, we have to cover one aspect so you understand the next slide properly. So first, what is a harakah? A harakah refers to the Arabic vowels, the fatha, dhamma, and the kasra, the a, u, and e sound. In English, we have lots of vowels, a, e, I, o, u, and sometimes y, right? The a, u, e sound. They're all the vowels. In Arabic, those same a, e, I, o, u sounds are in the form of fatha, dhamma, and kasra. And just so we understand, so for example, the three harakas that we come across are, number one is the fatha, which is also known as zabar in the Indian subcontinent. The second one is dhamma, which is known as pesh in the Indian subcontinent. And the third one is kasra, which is known as zir. I believe I messed up on the picture of the pesh and the zir. So just understand that's up and down. Anyway, so how do you pronounce a fatha or a zabar? Now, you may have not thought about it, but let's just keep a word in our mind. Let's keep the word ma, the mean. When you pronounce a zabar, what actually happens is that you are separating your upper and lower jaws. The jaws that we have, that we use to speak with, whenever you want to make a fatha sound, you have to separate the jaws. If you try to make a fatha without moving your jaws, it won't really happen. It won't come out. If you say ma, but the jaws have to separate. When you want to pronounce a dhamma, the side of your lips have to touch each other. Not the middle, the side of your lips. Mu. So if you do mu, you'll see the side of your lips, they are touching each other. When you have to pronounce a kasra, the E sound, you have to lower your jaw even more than the fatha. And in the process of doing that, the middle of your tongue will rise too, but you don't need to worry about that. So me. So you'll see the lower jaw lowers much more when you say a kasra, me. And just here, just some, but anyway, any letter that's pronounced as mutaharrik, doesn't matter if it's ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, kha, dal, zal, all the way till ya, any letter that's pronounced as mutaharrik with a fatha, dhamma, or kasra requires these three movements. Some people, because of the place they grew up in, they'll make this movement, but in an incomplete manner. They might recite half a harakah, or they might recite a mud instead and they'll stretch it too much. But these are the basic movements. So for example, here we have ma, mu, mi, ka, ku, ki, la, lu, li. Memories of qaida. Let's move on. So now once it's understood that these are the three things that are connected with saying anything with a harrik. So if I say that ba has to be pronounced with a fatha, that means you have to make the sound of ba and separate your upper and lower jaws. If I say ba has to be pronounced with a dhamma, then you have to join the side of your lips when pronouncing the ba. If I say ba has to be pronounced with a kasra, then you have to lower the lower jaw even more. But there's no need to exaggerate on any of these things. Most of us can do this naturally. We just never thought about this. Now let's move on to the different situations of a ba. So the first one is very straightforward. When a ba is mutaharrik, when it has a fatha, dhamma, or kasra. So when ba has a harakah, when it has a zabar, zir, pesh, or fatha, dhamma, kasra, we pronounce it as normal. So what are we going to do? As mentioned before, you bring the lips together. You bring the lips together, and then you release the lips. That's how a ba is pronounced. You bring the lips together and you release the lips. But once you release the lips, you have to make the motion of one of those harakah, depending on whether you want to do a fatha, dhamma, or kasra. So for example, if you wanted to give it a fatha, you would have to bring your lips together, release them, and your jaws are going to separate ba, ba. So your jaws are going to separate ba. If you want to pronounce it with a dhamma, again, you're going to bring your lips together, then release them. And when you release, you're going to have to bring the side of your lips together. Boo, boo. If you want to give it a kasra sound, bring your lips together, then release your lips, and the lower jaw will have to be dropped a bit more. B, B, B. So we have ba, boo, B. But the main thing I want everyone to focus on is that in order to pronounce ba as a mutaharrik, there are 2 steps involved, or you can say 3. But once your lips are together, there's 2 steps. Releasing the lips and then doing the action for the actual harakah. So there's 2 steps involved in all of them. This becomes very important for the next one. The second situation, when ba is sakin. Now here's the issue with ba being sakin. Ba is known as a letter of qalqala. Qalqala, right? Ba is known as a letter of qalqala. So when ba does not have a harakah and it's a sakin, then the ba is pronounced with a qalqala sound, which is also known as an echo sound. Qab, qab. It's like it's echoing. So this is the issue that happens with ba. When you make it sakin, you're going to have to make a qalqala sound. This is not with all letters. This is only with qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. And inshallah, every time we get to a qalqala letter, I'm going to bring this entire thing back in, the whole harakah. I'm going to remind everyone over and over and over again. Inshallah. So now let's get technical here. If the ba is sakin, right, then in order to pronounce a ba that's sakin, and whenever ba is sakin is pronounced with the qalqala sound, so to pronounce a sakin ba with the qalqala sound, we'll have to do the following things. Number 1, bring the lips together like normal. And number 2, release the lips from each other. And number 3 is not a number 3, but do not make the motion for any harakah. You bring your lips together and you simply let them go. B, b, b. No lowering the jaw, no moving the jaw, no bringing the lips together from the sides, none of that. Just b, b. Lips come together and are released. B. For example, qablihim, qablihim. Another example, tubtum, tubtum, tub, tub, tubtum. And here with the kasra, yuhbib, bib, yuhbib, bib, yuhbibukumullah. So now let's go to the last part and try to summarize this whole situation. And this is the main point that I wanted to make at the end thing. Qalqala is not a mutaharrik. In some books of Tajweed, it actually mentions in there that when you have a fatha before a qalqala letter, make a more of a fatha sound. For example, in qablihim, they're going to tell you, make it like a half of a fatha, qablihim. That's wrong. They say when there's a dhamma before it, make more of a dhamma sound. Instead of tubutum, tubu, tubu, tubutum. That is wrong. If there's a kasra before it, like the example I had here, yuhbib, they're going to say, give it a more of a kasra sound, yuhbibi, bibi. That is also wrong. That example you're going to find in contemporary books of Tajweed, not only in the Indian subcontinent, but also in Egypt and also in Saudi. In books of Tajweed, they're big qurras that have actually written that in their Tajweed book, but that's not found anywhere from our classical scholars. Nowhere. That's not found anywhere. So anyway, when you make a qalqala, it's not supposed to be with a fatha, dhamma, or kasra. a mutaharrik and a ba that's sakin. Now here's how you differentiate between the two. If you have a ba that's mutaharrik, a fatha dhamma kasra, and on the other side you have a ba that's sakin, they are similar. They are similar because their first two steps are exactly the same. They're exactly the same. Both of them have the same first two steps. You join your lips and then you release them. So if the ba is sakin or it has a fatha or a dhamma kasra, same first two steps. Join your lips and release them. However, after you release your lips, there's two choices to make. If you do a motion for a harakah, move your jaws down for a kasra, bring your lips together for a dhamma, or move your jaws, just separating your jaws, that will make a fatha. If you do that, you will end up making a mutaharrik ba. And if you do absolutely nothing after releasing your lips, it will create a qalqala for a sakin ba. So here's just one last thing, just so we can see. So on the left side, you'll have the fatha. I've made all the harakas. So you have the first word, kutiba, ba. In there, I brought my lips together, then released them and separated my jaws. Kutiba, ba. On the right side, qab, qab. So my jaws are not moving, just my lips are. Qab, qab. So my jaws are not going, they're going to move slightly, but not a lot. Qab. The next one, qubu, bu, bu. So you're bringing your lips together and letting them go, and then the side of your lips are coming together. But in the word tub, tubatum, you shouldn't be bringing the side of your lips together to make any dhamma sound. Tub, tubatum, ubu, ubu, and tub, tub. And then the last one, bima, bima. And on the right side with the sakin, yuhbib, bib. That's it. There's no e, u, a sound when you make qalqala. So the qab, tub, and yuhbib sound exactly the same. There's no difference between the both. All three of them are just a b, b, just releasing your lips. Whereas on the left side, they're all different because a fatha requires you to separate your jaws. The dhamma requires you to put your lips from the side together, and the kasra requires you to make your lower jaw go much more down. That is the difference between a qalqala and a mutaharrik letter. And this is going to keep coming back for all the letters of qalqala, the qaf, the ta, the jim, the dal. I'll keep mentioning this over and over and over again until inshallah we remember it. So that was the letter ba. Inshallah, tomorrow we will go on to the letter ta, which also has its own specific things as well. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك